destroying someone's humanity. Like, I think society really, like, we were talking about this earlier, how we all have so many dimensions of us, but modern society just makes us have like one dimension. But then those other dimensions of us are sort of unfed, and so we have to do like weird things that are almost like not accepted to feed those dimensions of ourselves. And sometimes people will be hungry in some way, and they're complaining to their friends that they're hungry, and crying to everyone for help, and and then people wonder why someone will cheat on their significant other, or why someone will get into drugs, or I remember when I was like a teen, I would a lot of people around me were sort of burning out, and especially once I started to get into my early 20s. I remember one year there's four people went insane in my life that year. I was like 20, I think, when this happened. One was a friend of mine that was a bit kind of a close friend for a year. Probably shouldn't have been a close friend, but he went insane anyways.
Yeah, I just want to add, like, from the last thing I said, like, about how in Islam and in the ideology of Islamic regimes, they it's just like in Christianity we have 72 entities of demons, more or less, and I personally, I get confused of that 72, and then in Islam we have like thousands, and then I think, again, I see it in myself. If I just give myself to the ideology and believe in such ways, I can subconsciously create every day more and more crave and create more entities that they created in the ideology, and those, I don't know how many demons that they originally created to be, and then every day people can create more of that, like copying the demons, like making copy versions all over their conscious, their mindset, their imagination, that can be spread into the like metaphorically into all over universe and existence, and applied on the earth, because it's connected to our beliefs on earth. So
when you mentioned that people create more demons, do you mean to say that, like, in a metaphorical way, that like people will be sort of in the mindset of being negative and against things, and then suddenly they'll find more things to be against?
Yeah, sure. So how like growing up is kind of, it becomes weirder and weirder by believing in and being brainwashed and being affected and possessed by the ideology. Is like we human became against each other through all this ideology, how it works. Like it's meant to make us messed up and chaotic in a bad way, chaotic in the way of the ideology, chaotic, like in one narrative, but then chaos into that one narrative. So like when people, I think, like when people go against each other, they into that conflict, they can create more of demons, like just to be sure that they are over the other one. And so and I have an idea that originally the way that, because we are all, we get to be born in this world and taken to the holy, holy, like they call themselves holy people, holy persons, which I call them recently cunts, to really to make the mindset of the newborn ready to be abusive to self, and then take the power of self as to create demons, to create into their conflict over each other, and then like into societies, when it can be into a family or relatives or just strangers twin strangers, to really try to get over each other by and the brain is already by that first thing in life to take him to mosque or to church to be possessed by this holy person, is to like if I put myself into that position of that holy person, I can add to the newborn mindset that they're gonna just for their whole life they're gonna be creating demons out of the like the human is so powerful, and then when it's distracted it can do anything in a wrong way, in demonic way. So like once they're demonized and dehumanized, their power is taken to create more of demons.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how I guess when like in US back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, there's like well, the Beatles said that they were more popular than Jesus, I remember, and then churches organized burnings of the Beatles records. And then a few years later, they had the Satan scare, where some lady wrote a book that she was abused by Satan cults that ran through like the kindergartens and stuff. And then like people were really distrusting of the Church of Satan, which, go figure. But they are also really distrusting, like, my dad's mom. She was really antagonistic towards him playing Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, I asked my Grammy about Dungeons and Dragons, and she was, like, rolling her eyes and so disgusted at the game. And, but these sorts of ideologies, this is sort of why it's harmful, because you're talking about people that don't really have a point of reference for something outside, something alien. Because when you're an adult, like, you just go to work, you come home, you watch what's on the TV, especially back in those days. But, like, when, like, kids are watching cartoons, getting all kinds of ideas about things, have their, imaginations are expanding a lot. Sex on TV has a very different effect on a child than a parent, and the parents are just like, oh, it's not doing anything it's not doing anything to the kids, they don't get it. But that's not exactly true. And I think that this thing of always creating demons, it's weird because then the kids are always seen as demons, because children will always be different than the parents a little bit, because they're living in different times, because, you can't step in the same river twice, time's always moving. And a fixed ideology, because Christianity, and I suppose Islam is the same, it's very slow to adapt to the times. And so, like, Christianity, my dad always said this, Christianity is always 20 to 30 years behind. They're always doing something to patch a problem that was relevant 20, 30 years ago. And it's probably because the old people that are running it, quote unquote running it, are remembering the problems from their youth and fixing the problems from their youth, something like that. But Christianity is always 20, 30 years behind, on what's going on, and no one really knows how to fix it. And I think a lot of people don't even know it is a problem, but, and I'll just, as a disclaimer, a lot of people where I was from, I think, weren't that religious. They would go to church a lot, but I don't know if they really took it that seriously. my family took it very seriously, and I knew other families that took it very seriously, and a lot of times the children would sort of naturally become estranged because the ideology is just too strict. You know, it's too one way. It's too one. You know, it's like there's a whole rainbow, but it's stuck on red. You know. Because when you have children, the child is sort of expressing, you know, sort of a dimension of you. It's like a continuation of you. It's an expansion of you in a way. Even though it's a different soul, that soul is being colored through you because you are giving birth to the child. Whether you're a man or a woman, you know, it's coming out of your energy body. So it's complicated like that. And I think this is something where Christianity is pretty egregious because, like, just having these ideologies that are not robust, that don't have enough facets to explain these things, is like, what happens, you know, when your kids are into something that you don't know much about, you know? Like, I've seen a lot of families where there's some animosity there just because, you know, I see some people, like, I remember I used to be in karate, and a lot of the karate people very much mix karate with their spirituality, because karate is spiritual, you know, but they kind of try to make the Eastern, like, I think it's the Tao that's in karate a lot. They would mix that, like, with Christianity in a weird way, because it's simply good values, which is funny because that's borderline Freemasonic, isn't it? You know, and I know some Freemasons that were big into karate, you know, so yeah, it's a lot of different facets.